Hey guys, this is my first audio flashcard that I've ever made. It's for the Week 27 Journal Response, and I've decided to do it on my favorite post impressions work that I'm sure you've all heard of. It's called Starry Night by the artist Vincent van Gogh, which is just as famous as the actual painting itself. It was created in 1889 at the darkest time of Van Gogh's life, and in the painting you can really get this sense of sadness and depression that was built up during Van Gogh's life. So I kind of want to talk about Van Gogh and the history behind all this sadness that was built up. Van Gogh was born in the Netherlands on March 10th, 1853, and his father was a Dutch Protestant pastor, and being brought up in this culture of Catholicism, he believed that he had this religious calling. So in his 20s, he decided to do some missionary work in Belgium, and that didn't really work out for him. And he kind of learned that, or he kind of felt that it wasn't worth it, you know. He became really depressed because he had two relationships that failed, many work opportunities that just didn't fall through for him, and he questioned the existence of God, and if there really was a God, why was life so bad for him? So it wasn't a very good time in his life, I would say. Throughout his life, he was described as being really quiet, really somber, and the only person who he really talked to, really opened up to, was his brother Theo, who became this important figure in just keeping Van Gogh sane through his being in this asylum for the last part of his life. Like I just said, Van Gogh was in a mental asylum when he painted this Starry Night painting. The asylum was called Saint Remy de Provence, and that was in southern France, and people actually think that the painting itself is this view from Van Gogh's window from the asylum. In the asylum, Van Gogh kept correspondence with his brother. He sent him paintings and letters, and although he didn't really like the paintings that he made when he was in the asylum, he sent them anyway, and Starry Night was one of the paintings that he disliked the most, which just goes to show you the posthumous fame that comes from a lot of the art created by these famous and renowned artists that they never actually liked. So the asylum was ultimately the place where Van Gogh died. He supposedly committed suicide. There was a bullet wound that killed him, and it was just assumed that he committed suicide, although there was no gun found. So obviously the fact that people assumed that he committed suicide showed that he had severe mental illness that everyone else could see, including himself. So yeah, that's just a little anecdote on the depression and life of Van Gogh. So let's get back to the painting. Like I said before, or at least I think I said it before, it was painted in 1889. It was made out of oil paint on canvas, and it's like 2.5 feet tall and 3 feet wide, so it's pretty big to be like mailing to his brother, I think. The painting is made up of these tiny little lines that create these big shapes and masses, and creates this really beautiful flowing effect, creates this dynamic looking landscape, which is, I think, what Van Gogh was trying to go for. The first thing that I notice is the color palette of the painting. It's a lot of rich blues and dark colors, and the only highlighting that one gets is the whites and yellows within the stars and the moon and the little highlights on the building of France, but there's not much of that, so it's a lot of dark color, which I think lends to the somber, depressed mood of the painting. The first actual thing that I see in the front is this black mass, and when I first saw the painting I was like, what the heck is that? But after doing some research, I discovered that it's this cypress tree, which is a common motif in a lot of Van Gogh's work. However, a cypress tree was not seen out of Van Gogh's window from the asylum, so it was added into the composition. I don't know why. Maybe he just really liked these cypress trees, but it was a common motif in his work, so he obviously liked painting them. The actual landscape of the painting seems really grounded. All of the houses in the little village in southern France are outlined in like thick black oil paint, and all of the lines comprising the color of the little houses go in the same direction, whereas in the entire painting they're all going different ways. And I think it adds to the stillness of the earth while nature is at its prime. It's alive, basically. Earth is sleeping while the sky is alive. There's even a little church in the landscape, which maybe lends to the ambivalence of the existence of God that Van Gogh had. Maybe he just added it in there just to throw in some personal imagery from his life. Who knows? Now for the main part of the piece, which is the sky. The sky is broken into many different parts of swirling mass, which are created from the colored lines, like I said before. And I think that the fact that the sky is really dynamic and has this energy to it, whereas the village is really still creates this very, I don't know, the village is very stable and quiet, but everything around it is rumbling and lively. So I just feel like nature is calling to Van Gogh in the piece, whereas society is not calling to him. The sky, in the sky I should say, there are little balls of yellow light, and there's a little crescent moon, and these things in the sky are haloed by these little white lines, and it creates this really beautiful heavenly effect, I think. I think that's what he was going for. Overall, the effect created by Van Gogh gives the night so much depth, and I think the symbolism behind it is that the universe is really all around you. It's not just this untangible thing that is far away. There's so much intense longing that you could feel in this piece, and I think it's because Van Gogh just really wanted to capture this universe, just wanted to escape from his asylum, escape from his mental illness, and just be free of it. He just wanted to live his life and not live in fear and anxiety. And there's so much yearning that you can't really pinpoint on this painting. And I think it lends to the expressionist nature of the painting, meaning that there's so much emotion that you get from this painting that isn't strictly stated, it's just felt. And I think that comes from this deep-seated place in Van Gogh's heart. So that's the end of this audio flashcard. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.